Hi, welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's Spotlight On. Today I'm in studio with Denise Boutte. She is part of the Bounce Back coming out soon in December. We have Secrets, a couples night. She is absolutely everywhere. Let's find out more. Don't go away.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Audience, wow.
You cannot go wrong with a large fake studio audience.
I love that. Honestly, I feel so important. Thank you, fake audience.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate you.
And thank you so much for joining us on AFTERBUZZ TV's Spotlight On. Today I'm in studio with Denise Boutte. I am your host, Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Zoe Said What. And sitting to my left is Denise.
Yes, I am. And thank you so much for getting my last name correct.
Absolutely.
Does that have anything to do with your terms in New Orleans?
No, but it has to do with I do not want to mess up a guest's name.
Well, I appreciate that because that one could definitely go left really quickly. So appreciate that.
Thank you. And where can everyone find you on social media?
I am Denise_Boutte on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook, just Denise Boutte. So DenisBoutte.
And you post a lot of delicious food photos. I have to say, you were just making gumbo at home.
I am. I have a dear friend that's coming over to the house, so anytime they're in town, they request gumbo or some kind of other southern dish. So, as my mom would say, I like to put my foot in the pot. That's how you know you're loved, okay? Whenever I make a good pot of gumbo for you. So, yeah, it's just fun. And for me, it's just like a way of like kind of keeping in touch with who I am. I mean, when I first realized that I had a love for cooking was when I moved to Dallas, Texas. And it was more so like I was homesick. You know, so I get on the phone with my mom, like, Mom, how do you make da-da-da-da? Or, you know, I call my mama, you know, how do you make your smothered okra? And over the years, I just started compiling these recipes, and it was just, like I said, a way of me staying in contact with home. So then years later, now I'm like, you know what? I should take all these compilations and make a cookbook. And that's actually something I'm working on now. The date has pushed. My due date has pushed for myself several times, but the latest and greatest is February 2017.
So not too far away.
Not too far away.
I feel super disappointed, actually, that there's not gumbo on this table in between us.
It's still on that fire, okay? Now, mind you, it's turned off right now. But right now, I was able to put, not my secret weapon, I'll tell you my secret weapon for my gumbo.
You heard it first here, AfterBuzzers.
I will tell you my secret weapon, a smoked turkey leg.
Oh.
A smoked turkey leg. That is my secret weapon in my red meats, and that is my secret weapon in my gumbo. And that is thanks to my auntie Peggy, who lives in LBC out here. That's actually my husband's aunt. And she did it one time, and it just like took my gumbo game to the next level.
That's interesting. I haven't heard of doing that.
Oh my God. It is the best idea ever. And when I tell you that like there is no taste like it just like totally changes the flavor in that pot. Yeah.
Pretty much this just became a food show, and now I'm drooling.
It's all good, girl. Look, you have me back next time, and I'll have some dessert and some gumbo for you.
I was going to say, I'll have to put in a request because that Mississippi mud pie looks amazing as well.
So good.
You definitely cook. We are drilling now. But I'm also super excited, not just about your cooking, but about your new movie coming out, The Bounce Back.
Yeah.
You know, you're working with Shamar Moore. It comes out December 9th, and you play his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the plot of the movie.
Well, it's fun because here you've got Shamar Moore, you've got Bill Bellamy, Nadine Velasquez. I mean, an all-star cast, and this was a very big departure, I guess you would say, for Shamar because everybody knows him from Criminal Minds and being so serious, you know. But he is just like me. Like, a lot of times people are like, oh my God, you are so fun. He is the biggest goofball. Like, seriously. He is so down to earth. He is so fun. He is a super prankster. Now, that's the only thing about Shamar. You have to watch him because he is quite the prankster. But he's just a beautiful human being who just loves to have fun. He does not take himself too seriously. And he absolutely loves this business. He loves the business of it, and he loves the acting of it. He loves creating. And so on set, it was just like totally fun. It wasn't like going to work at all. He made sure he fed us well. Thank you, Shamar, for that. That's how I determine every job, how good craft services is.
That's very key.
That's right. That's the important part. So he's just a really good guy. And he was always, you know, like, what do you think about the character? And I actually portray his ex-wife. And I actually dropped him. And I was like, when I was first reading it, I was just like, okay, so what's the deal? This girl, like, hates six-packs? What the hell? Like, who, like, leaves Shamar more. And we also share a daughter together, an amazing little girl. And it's just a really beautifully written, really fun, you know, kind of take on bouncing back from love. You know, whenever you're faced with heartbreak, how long it may take you to kind of, you know, retreat, regroup, but never be afraid to love again. Yeah.
And it is my type of movie because I love romantic comedies so much.
Yeah. You'll definitely leave with a smile on your face.
Good, absolutely. Because I think that's the best way to determine if a movie is good. How do you feel walking out of the theater?
Yeah. And I think there's so much heavy stuff right now. I mean, honestly and truly, we have, as a country, been through a very traumatic few months. And I think that we all need to laugh. You know, I think right now we all need a little bit of laughter, and this will definitely do that. It just kind of makes you believe in love again. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes how you can find it in the most unexpected of places.
Which is always a good sort of theme for a movie.
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
Hearing that he's a prankster now, that's not something I had heard before. So what sort of pranks were going on set?
Shamar, I mean, anywhere from stuff supposedly being in your food to stuff kind of showing up in your trailer. Yeah, that kind of stuff. He's that guy. Like, you would think that it was Bill. You would think that Bill Bellamy was that guy. No, it's Shamar. It's Shamar. And I also love the fact that he's a total mama's boy. He makes no qualms about it. He'll tell you just as well that I'll say it, that he loves his mom. And he has a foundation actually in his mom's name. And he's just, again, just a beautiful, kind person and very, very aware, you know, very, very giving. Very giving.
And I think that working with a prankster sort of puts a different level of maybe pressure. Like George Clooney is also known for being a prankster. And I kind of feel like I would be a little bit intimidated by what is going to show up in my food.
Well, you know what? It lights the mood on set. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, honestly, we can take ourselves too seriously. Sometimes we can take this business too seriously. And for me, that's part of longevity in this. You can't take it too seriously. I mean, there have been times, and I mean, sign me up, okay, that you want to cross every T, you want to dot every I, and you want to have a plan. And yeah, you should have a plan. I mean, you got to wake up with a goal in mind. I mean, there's not a day in my calendar. I will not bother you with that information, but it is planned. You know what I'm saying? I have a goal. Okay, an idle mind or whatever. Idle is, and I do not mix, right? But there's so much about this business that you really and truly can't predict, that you really and truly can't, you know, force. You know what I'm saying? So all you can do is be prepared. Right. You know what I'm saying? If I would tell anybody anything, the best you can do is always be prepared so that when that opportunity does present itself, you're ready to go. You're ready to go.
And it seems like that's something that you have done your whole life. You graduated as valedictorian. You went on to have a successful career in advertising.
Competition with all that stuff, okay? I'm going to just say right now, you know.
No, that sounds very modest. Valedictorian is very impressive. You had a successful career in advertising, worked with big brands like Pampers and Mary Kay. Yeah. So it seems like this is something that you've done your whole career. Your whole life, really. Yeah. So how has it translated from school to career to new career?
Well, you know what? We were kind of started having that conversation before. I mean, you know, everybody wants to know how entertainment is so different or whatever from my prior life. And in a lot of ways, it's not. It's show business. And I conduct it as such. It is a business. And I'll be honest with you, in the last like 4.5 years, a lot of the jobs that I have been able to, you know, have the pleasure of working on are repeat customers. They're either people that I've worked with before who want to work with me again, or people who have gotten a referral from somebody I have worked with, and they're like, oh, you know, so-and-so recommend you or whatever, I think you're perfect for this role, you know, and after the reading the script, it's like, hey, yeah, sign me up, you know, but your reputation precedes you, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's, you know, in the world of entertainment. I don't care if it's in the world of business and advertising. I don't care what it is. You gotta make sure that you're, where I'm from, being a person of your word, means a lot. You just say, and that does happen a lot out here, and I think everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That people make promises or say things or whatever, and they just kind of like, they don't necessarily have to follow through or whatever. They say things or whatever, and I just take a lot of pride in that. You know, and that's just a part of who I am and where I come from. And I think it just translates across the board. You know what I'm saying? And again, having a goal in mind. A lot of times it's a cycle. There's peaks and valleys. You know what I'm saying? And in life in general, okay? But in this business, sometimes you are working like gangbusters, and another time you're like, woo, okay. in those interims, that's where I go to passion projects. You know what I'm saying? I've created, projects, television, movie. I don't necessarily write. I don't necessarily want to write. I don't necessarily direct. I don't want to direct. I know directors. I know writers. I know people who have produced before. So we've created. So I've got an arsenal of projects that when I'm giving the opportunity, to pitch these projects, I'm ready to go. You don't have to ask me twice. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the cooking thing, it was a passion that I didn't even realize that I had until I left. And it was almost like, once I compiled all these recipes, the recipes are done. It was like, you know what, let me pay homage to my grandparents and the simplicity with which I was reared. And that's what it kind of became. It wasn't even about me. You know what I'm saying? It was just a simpler way of life. My grandparents, living on a farm or whatever, at the time, I really didn't appreciate it. I didn't. I mean, honestly, my motivation was getting off that freaking farm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just was like, let me get a scholarship. Yeah, valedictorian. No, it was scholarship. And I went to LSU, and I wanted to be away. And it took me leaving to really, in hindsight, appreciate how I was raised. So that's kind of, how it all came full circle. And now with regards to cooking, I've done, several YouTube videos or whatever, just kind of testing the water, just kind of testing and seeing what that was about. And then since then, I've been able to join forces with a guy by the name of Michael Swanson, and we're working on my pecan praline.
See more food talk.
Pecan praline. Well, we're refining or whatever the process or whatever for mass production because it's easy to make it in small batches and it's my mama's recipe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to put something half, on the market or whatever because this is a representation of her. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we work with that with Chef Gennard Wells. He was like first runner-up on Food Network Star. So the three of us or whatever have utilized each of our, our gifts in order to make this happen. So we're working on the packaging. We're working on the, nutritional information, all the grunt work that goes into actually launching it. It sounds so amazing and glamorous, and let me tell you. So we're working on that, and then there's also a lot of prepackaged goods that we're talking about. So that once we do this or whatever, but it's like one step at a time. You know what I'm saying? The cookbook right there. February is right there. Like I said, the recipes are there. It's the stories. It's the stories and kind of letting people know who I am because a lot of times people have an idea of who you are, and until you kind of give them, that intimate view of who you know what I'm saying, what actually makes this person, that's, it's important. It's very important to me that I get it right. You know what I'm saying? Coming out the gates, I feel like I have to get it right.
Absolutely. If it has your name and your brand on it, essentially.
Yeah.
And so in creating projects, you've also created another project more recently called Secrets, right? And it's a film that you also produced that's touring around the film festivals right now.
Yes.
So what was it like? This is your first, it seems like, bigger film. You've worked on some smaller films that you've produced, but this was your first, big project. So what was it like getting it started and now the process of going to film festivals, which is exciting?
Well, I've got to give it to Trust a Small Way because when I first read the script, I was like, okay, this is a bad girl that makes Trina and Why Did I Get Married look like a saint. This chick's like, woo, and very, very calculated, very, very smart, very, very manipulative. So I was like, ooh, I can really sink my teeth into this. And I'm at the point in my career where with these types of projects, I like to barter for producer credit because that's my whole mindset is that I need to build that experience and have more going on behind the scenes and learn that part of it while I am still doing my thing in front of the camera. And so she allowed me to be such an intricate part of the process, and I thank her for that. And now what they're doing with this thing is they have a hugely successful marketing campaign to where they're touring cities across this country and getting that buzz and getting that familiarity. And some of the screenings are a full screening, but a lot of them are just shorter versions of the film just to get people salivating, getting that buzz, using the social media thing. And the marketing platform, that she and Maggie have created is just phenomenal. Something that everybody should watch and model themselves after. Because this was her first film. This was the first film that this woman has done. And when I tell you she has packed every single screening that she has had, trust and believe that when this thing is released, officially released, that it's going to be phenomenal. But again, I'm watching her doing, and she's just created quite the framework, I guess you would say, marketing wise or whatever, for an independent movie.
And so what was it like on set when you had to put on your producer's hat and then switch back to your acting hat and go back and forth?
It was interesting. It was interesting, but they made it easy, I guess you would say, for me on days that I had a whole lot of heavy, stuff or whatever, heavy lifting. It wasn't as much or whatever going on behind camera for me. But on days that's the other thing. On the days that you're supposed to be resting or whatever, I was on set. You know what I'm saying? I was not necessarily in front of the camera, but I was behind the camera. And a lot of times you wouldn't even know I was there because I was watching. A lot of learning, a lot of times, is observation. Yeah. So unless it was totally necessary, like at the end of the day or whatever, and I'd have those conversations, that's when I would do that. But a lot of times it's like being a fly on the wall and just watching the moving pieces and how they all work together, because trust and believe, there are a lot.
Yeah, and it must,
oh my gosh,
it must have been very comforting, I guess, also in some ways, that it was her first film, so that you, like, working as a producer for a bigger film for yourself, that there was a lot of learning together.
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely,
Less pressure.
absolutely. And I knew that she was a master with regards to publishing, because she has a book empire. And so again, we've had conversations or whatever about the cookbook and her ideas on whatever, how to roll that out. So it's just amazing the people that I've been very fortunate enough to work with, because a lot of times we think it's what's on the surface, and it manifests itself into things beyond what we see at the moment. So I've always been very in tune to kind of looking beyond the moment and seeing, like, what is really, what I'm saying? What is the real bottom line? What is the real picture? Again, no overanalyze everything. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes there's something so much bigger than what's on the surface.
Right, it's all those connections, or secrets, should we say?
Absolutely, honey. Lord have mercy. So yeah, I'm definitely not the good guy in this film. So yeah.
Well, that seems to go on a lot in your career, but it's kind of fun from what I understand, playing the bad girl or bad woman.
It is absolutely fun, and until recently, I just came back from DC a couple weeks ago from doing a romantic comedy, and I had an amazing time. And a lot of that had to do, again, Tridestin. Shout out to Tridestin for hiring me on this, but they know that I have that comedy muscle, and anytime I get an opportunity to exercise it, I'm there. And the film, I mean, it was just so well written, and oh my God, Reagan Gomez Preston, she can't get rid of me. She is just the most beautiful human being I have ever, like, met. I mean, she's just a wonderful person, constantly working or whatever. She's on one of my favorites, Queen Sugar. What's up? But she's fun. You know what I'm saying? And we just felt like we were creating magic, and we were just letting our hair down. We're both moms, so we were just like, woo, we're on vacay. And yeah, Malik Whitfield is on there, and also I'm married to Tony Rock. I'm married to his character, and we just had fun. We literally just threw caution through the wind and let it rip. And it was a fun experience, like, all the way around. And just being in DC, about the time of the changing of the guards and all that fun stuff. And we actually were the first, from what I understand, first independent film that got clearance to film in front of the White House.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, before the changing of the guards. So we were like the first film. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's lots of shots or whatever with the White House in the back of us where we were walking, right in front. And it was just, again, it was just fun. That's the beauty of this business, is the work. I love the work. I love creating these characters, and even the bad girls. Yeah. I get cussed out, but it's almost as if I get to live vicariously through these characters, and there's no repercussions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's no wife because I slept with her husband waiting for me in the bushes. I'm good. I can leave her at work, but it's fun. You know what I'm saying? It's all the world of make-believe. And for me, like I said, there's a lot with this business that can be trying at times, but I do it because I love the work. When I do get the opportunity to create and breathe life into a character, there's no feeling like it. I mean, hence the reason why I loaded up the truck and moved cross country to do this, because I got a taste of it on set, with my clients time after time. And then I was just like, what the hell is this? I enjoyed advertising. People ask me all the time, where you look. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I will say this. I think I was getting kind of bored, because I'd gone to several agencies, but of course that's how you moved up the ranks, pretty quickly. And I was moving. I was an account director by the time that I left. So, I was moving pretty good. But I get bored. I get bored kind of quickly, and I'll be like, okay, Been there, done that, mastered that. Let's keep it moving, you know. And the one part about it that always intrigued me was the pitch. I wasn't even in the area of the agency to pitch. But when they were pitching new clients and they were going, it was almost like a performance of sorts. Yeah. And honey, I love, and of course the free meals with whining and dining the clients always was, you know, pretty good because you put that on the expense account. It was awesome.
So there is a lot of crossover with movies and craft service in your previous career.
You see, I think that's been my real motivation. You see, now that we're talking about it, it's been craft services and free meals the whole time. Food the cookbook. Yes. And that's it. I mean, you know, that's all I am. Food, family, and fun. That's me.
Well, those are good things. And I don't think we mentioned the name of the movie that you were working on in D.C., so that's Couples Night.
Oh,
so
yeah.
what was it like? Did you have to get special clearance? Did you personally have to have a special background check before you could be in front of the White House?
You know what? We all did. Yeah, we all did. From what I understand, we had to submit paperwork, and we all had to fill out that paperwork and our license, which was already necessary or whatever to do the job. But yeah, they had to submit special, and only like a certain amount of us from the crew. And in front of the camera, well, only 4 cast members were there or whatever, but only a certain amount of crew was able to get clearance to be in front. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And here I am walking in these, I don't know, 4 or 5.5 inch heels. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for you. Deuces, Obama and Biden, I'm doing it for you.
And so you have really shot all over with your different projects in Atlanta, D.C.
Yeah.
So what was different about shooting in D.C. than in other places?
You know what? There was such a, I'll say a historical element. I've shot in Maryland before, but not necessarily in D.C. Mm-hmm. And it was just beautiful. It was a high time, and it was like, you know, the anticipation of the election, so you could kind of feel it. And I would say that the history, like you feel the history. You know, when you're like driving in front of the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and we only had like one day off, and that one day we used to go to the African American History Museum. And it was just like, oh my God. You know, I am definitely not a morning girl, but I was so happy to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning because we got a private tour. So before they actually opened doors for everyone, and there were people literally wrapped around that building who not necessarily had tickets to get in. Like there's a waiting list, from what I understand, until March of 2017.
Wow.
And so the people that were wrapped around this building had posted up like Lord knows how long in advance, and they weren't given like a guarantee that they were going to get in. And when you got inside, it was just like, I mean, these levels of, it was very hard though. I mean, the first level, because that's what it is. It kind of starts from the bottom or whatever, and it's, you know, a rise on up, and it's just, you feel some type of way. Like I was like really, I was tired. Mm-hmm. Like honestly, it was an emotional roller coaster of, I mean, just, but it, oh God, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And shout out to everybody that made that happen. And there's one young lady in particular that I want to acknowledge, but I'm so horrible with names, I can't remember her name, but she was the curator. And for 8 years was compiling this stuff. And she was phenomenal. She was phenomenal, and she took us up every level. So by the time we got to, like, I'd say the 3rd level, the doors had opened. So again, everybody was starting from here. So by the time we got, you know, to the top or whatever, it's just like, it was flooded with people. It was just, man, I urge anybody, if you are in D.C., get your tickets now if you can or whatever, because it was something that I'm just like, oh my God, I've got to go back with my family. It's something that I have to, like, make happen. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a beautiful experience.
I mean, it's special also when a museum can make you feel those chills, because of course museums are always interesting, but there's a difference between going and learning and feeling chills from the history that you're really watching.
Yeah, a lot of times it's like TMI. It's just like, okay, you're reading or something, but it just there's the emotion. It's an emotional journey. Like it literally is an emotional roller coaster going through there, and you just feel like so like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? You just feel like emotionally taxed by the time you come out of it. So I've never had that experience. I've been in museums before, and Reagan and I afterwards went to the where did we go? To the Space Museum.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, that was heavy. Okay, we were going into space, and we were going to see the astronauts, and you know, we just like kept the party going. But it's like we needed something to just kind of get us out of that mode, you know what I'm saying? And it was a phenomenal day. phenomenal day.
Well, I think that also that's where that sort of decompression comes from, like in the comedy movies that you're doing that we were talking about earlier, that things are so heavy sometimes with everyday life that it's nice to have that ability to step back and relax and spend time in a theater laughing.
Absolutely.
And just letting go.
And that's the whole thing about movie. You know what I'm saying? In general, you know, going to the movies. You know, sometimes we're in front of TV because we can call up everything when we want it, how we want it, but there's something amazing about going to the movie theater. There's something just so intimate, I would say, about still going into the movie theater or whatever and seeing things or whatever on the big screen. And you know, I didn't honestly see many movies as a kid. I really didn't. That's why everybody, you know, is always like, what's your favorite movie growing up? You know, I saw stuff here and there, but we weren't necessarily going to the movies a lot. You know, it was kind of far and it was, you know, kind of pricey, you know, for us. And you know, but there are the standouts. I remember vividly every single piece of Annie. If you ask me, I can tell you every and anything about Daddy Warbucks. And then my daughter, like, she's just like infatuated with the whole thing because we took her to see the actual play, the theater play, and then she was like, you know, Mommy, is that the same one you talk about? And I was like, yeah. And so I got it for her, and she's obsessed too. Obsessed and loves it. And so, you know, that's one of the fun things about being a mom, you know, passing on, you know, stuff to your kids or whatever and brainwashing them. It's pretty awesome.
I mean, Annie is such a wonderful classic.
Oh,
I love
my
it too.
God. And I like the old stuff. So don't ask me about the remakes. Unless I'm in it, you know. Don't ask me about the remakes. I thoroughly enjoy, you know, the original stuff. And I also vividly remember seeing Rocky. The first Rocky. That was just like, oh my God. And then my aunt took me to see Coming to America. And didn't cover my eyes. There was a part where she should have covered my eyes, and she didn't. And she just was eating up popcorn. She's like, and I was like,
I love that movie. I feel like that is the earliest, like, feminist movie that was so, like, almost underappreciated for that aspect of it, even.
Absolutely.
I mean, such an ahead of its time movie.
Oh my God.
Love it.
It's
just
like
that
my
scene.
I mean, it does, and it just made you feel like it was a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
An empowering
exactly.
Story. Yeah.
Lisa does not just sit back.
Oh, no,
she
absolutely
is worthy of being
absolutely.
In
and she's the working girl. You know what I'm saying? And she's the one that dictates how this is going to go down. It's not because Prince Charming showed up. No, Prince Charming. You're going to have to figure out how to fit into my world.
Right.
And then she was like, well, I love your world now. Oh, this is nice. Yeah. So it was cool. McDowell's wasn't worth all that, girl.
Well, despite all this movie talk, you are probably best known for some TV shows. And one of your shows is actually in syndication now on BET, Meet the Browns. I mean, that was a long chunk of your career. You spent years doing that.
Man, yeah. Like 5.5 years? About 5.5 years. Yeah, off and on.
I mean, do you feel like now, is that what people know you for the best? Is it Days of Our Lives, which, I mean, soaps always have such a strong following. Where would you say people know you the best?
I would say that Tyler Perry fans, definitely, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when they're going to give a movie reference, a lot of times it's Trina. Because, I mean, she did kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And everybody loves Jill Scott. So the chick that wronged Jill Scott is just like, woo! You know, and so, you know, I got to give Tyler props for that. I mean, he gave me opportunities to really and truly, like, shine in pivotal roles. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I mean, honestly, before I got Browns, I like had, I don't know, 2 credits. Like, I didn't have, you know, much to my name. And we actually did Why Did I Get Married before Meet the Browns. And for me, true story, Logan Browning and I were the greenest things on set. Okay? Now, Logan, I mean, chick's now taking over HBO. Like, she's a phenomenal individual. Like, you could see. But I'll say this. I think Logan and I had our breakthrough about the same time. Because everybody, you know, Lamont, you know, David had done, you know, The Place forever, you know, and of course he and Tamala had worked together on the stage play circuit or whatever. And they'd done so much stuff with Tyler prior to. This was our training ground. You know what I'm saying? So there was a whole lot that Tyler allowed us to fail. You know what I'm saying? And the beauty of that schedule was that you had to pick yourself up and keep it moving. Because we had 3 takes, okay? We were doing a show a day. We were doing 3 to 4 shows a week, okay? So we didn't have time to be like sulking and be like, oh, I should have done. You better get it. Like, you better, you know what I'm saying? And it was really like a training ground or whatever, and the best of sorts, because you couldn't, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't like sit back or whatever. And if Tyler saw something phony coming through or whatever, he was calling you out on it. But from a very, very like a teacher, you know, student perspective, you know what I'm saying? Like he was like, you've got a huge opportunity. You're in a safe place. Try stuff. And again, for me, because I can be so controlling in certain ways, you know, I'd like to, you know, have control. In acting, that's what I find so liberating, the fact that I don't have control. You're really and truly reacting. I don't care what the heck is on the page. How you react and respond is totally going to be dependent on what that other person is giving you. And then David, he was so amazing at improv that, like me, he would throw me, you know, because it was like, that's not what's on the page. He's like, and? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, oh, okay. So you got, you know, your improv skills. And again, it was one of the hardest yet most liberating experiences of my life, because again, once, like, say Logan and I had that breakthrough, it was just like, oh my God, it was a high. It really literally was a high. And that's the beauty of a series. Like, everybody's always like, you know, the steadiness of a series, my God, it's like the holy grail. But it's also, you become like a family. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't have to, like, you know, work together for a few months or whatever and be like, bye. You know, once you get to banter and get to have like that modern family kind of, you know, longevity, it's so gratifying. You know what I'm saying? And you just know, you know your family member. So the sparring or whatever, that's when you really make magic. That's when you make magic. So yeah, so to be in syndication is not, I mean, only a gift or whatever on so many levels, but also the fact that you just get to play and know and learn, and that's when you create the magic, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of a series.
And Tyler Perry seems to also create that magic a lot. He seems to excel really in bringing groups together and making them feel welcome. Do you think that has to do with his religious background, that you seem similarly like where you believe a lot in like the faith end of things, and he does like the prayer circle beforehand? Do you feel like that?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's only that or the fact that this is the beauty of Tyler that not enough people do. And this is not haterade. He gives people a chance, and it's not just because other people have gone before them and done so. Tyler will take somebody that is completely green and see something in. There's so many people on every single one of Tyler's shows. Look and see how many credits they have before they got on that series. He's not looking at, and unfortunately, you know, I get it, it's a business situation or whatever, but he's not just looking at a person's resume and if they're tried and true, because there's a lot of actors in this town or whatever who just keep continually to getting plugged, and not, no hate, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, if I was that girl or whatever that, you know, came during that time or whatever and was the person, the go-to or whatever that they just throw on everything, shoot, I wouldn't be complaining, you know what I'm saying? But there's so many talented people, and that's the beauty of Tyler. He doesn't care if your resume is not supporting that. If he sees something in you and he sees it factor even before you see it in yourself, he will give you an opportunity to shine. And that was the beauty of being in that place. It was a safe environment for me to learn, for me to fail, for me to grow, for me to excel. That whole TPS experience, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for that experience.
And I think so many people have such a similar story, that he has just such a lovely reputation for people who have worked with him and have worked with him again and again, because he does tend to work with the same people.
And he's from New Orleans, so he didn't have a choice. No, I'm joking.
You're like, I'm a farm girl, Tyler.
Hey, yeah, he told this horrible story one time, and people actually believed it, that I was like, he discovered me roping cattle on the side of the highway. I was like, you serious right now? Like, he said it on, like, a program. Like, he would do these talk shows. I'm being serious. Somebody, you can find the footage, and I swear to goodness, and you can see me in the audience like this, like, well, and it's like, how do you, like, tell Tyler he ain't telling the truth? I'm just like, are you serious? But then he started laughing afterwards or whatever. But do you know how many people thought that was true?
I imagine so. Now is your chance to officially set the record straight.
Like, they thought I was Daisy Duke or something, like roping cattle on the side of the road. I'm just like, yeah, no. But if shit, that make you hire me, sure. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Right, in that case.
With ponytails. Yes. I had ponytails and a midriff shirt and some Daisy Dukes, and I was roping cattle. Okay.
Well, you actually got your start though as the Texas lottery gal, right?
Okay,
like
you're
the
about
Vanna
to
White
make
of
me
Texas.
spit out. Oh my God.
Right as we wrap things up, we've got to hear about Texas Vanna White.
Well, back in the day, well, that was my first on-camera experience.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, yeah. So they needed somebody when the lotto balls ran out, to do. And that's what I did. So, big girl, southern hair and all this stuff and pageant gown. So, I was Vanna Black and the rolls, balls roll out and just do that. And it was pretty freaking awesome.
I feel like it kind of would be. You get to dress up.
It was pretty freaking awesome. I had to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? All I had to do was look cute, big hair, sequins gown. It was awesome. So, yeah, that was my first on-camera. I was like, I get paid for this? I felt like I was robbing somebody.
And so for anyone who aspires to do that, is there a trick to the ta-da movement?
I just watch a lot of Vanna White. Just watch a lot of Vanna White because she doesn't have to flip the nuts. She just touches them or, So just watch Vanna. She is the, model.
She's the pro.
Yeah. Oh, no. If you need someone, don't look at me. Look at Vanna. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people will be looking at you. We've got so many great movies coming up, your cookbook, your TV show, so many wonderful things.
Oh, and I do not take it for granted at all, because this business, look, there's a lot of talented people, you know what I'm saying? So when you get the opportunity to shine and do what it is that you love, you definitely don't take that for granted.
Well, that is a great place to wrap up. That's a great message
We're
to
done?
everyone. Unfortunately, we are. I could keep going. I'm having fun chatting.
Come on, man.
So, Denise, where can everyone find you on social media?
Denise_Boutte, Boutte. That is me. And, just holler at me, and I'll keep you guys posted on what I'm doing, the latest and the greatest. And, from food to film, check me out.
Absolutely. And I'm your host, Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Zoe Said What. That's Zoe Said What. You can also find me here at AfterBuzz on Monday evenings, heading our Shark Tank After Show panel. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.